Many of you may find this weird, but I happen to love the book of Ecclesiastes. There's such kind of grittiness and realness to it. Ecclesiastes is a book in the Bible that was, many believe, written by Solomon as kind of a recording of his wisdom and of his experiences. And one of the reasons many people don't like it is because every time Solomon says, I sought after this, I got success in that, and I achieved all of that. But after it all, Solomon says, life is simply meaningless. Money, power, all of these things that he had, he says is meaningless, or a better translation is a mist. It's like chasing after the wind, something that's never going to really satisfy or ever really be achieved. But one of the reasons I love that book is because in the middle of all of these places where he says, and I got this, and it was meaningless, and I got that, and it's meaningless, and we don't see justice happening, and it's meaningless, and I think for a lot of us, we might feel that same way right now. There's a lot of stuff going on that's questioning so much of our existence. We're being laid off, or we're having to lay people off. We're being stuck in the house with our families who we may or may not get along with all that well. And we question whether God has a purpose to any of this, or into even our own lives in any of this. And then when we let go of some of those things, we're slowly starting to see how unimportant some of it was. How meaningless it was for us to chase after whatever it was we were looking for. But what I love about that book, Ecclesiastes, is that there's numerous times where the writer comes back and he says, you know what? But there is something joyful. I'll show you. This is a passage. This is from Ecclesiastes chapter 3. He says, I know there's nothing better for people than to be happy and to do good while they live, that each of them may eat and drink and find satisfaction in all their toil. That is a gift of God. The time of Lent is a time in which we often get to say no to something, where we kind of organize our lives around simplicity a little bit more. We've been forced to do so in an extreme manner the last little while, but the discipline of simplicity for me helps me to really love and appreciate all of the little things that bring me joy on a regular basis. The ways in which getting into a nice, clean, or just freshly made bed feels. The way in which those sheets smell after coming out of a cedar chest, or the way in which the sun streams in and the way that the shadow changes across the course of a day, the way in which my dog just enjoys to go for walks on a regular basis. And I think some of it is because we continually seek new, and now we're being forced to stay and to rejoice in the everyday. And honestly, I think it's exciting to regain that habit. G.K. Chesterton, in his book Orthodoxy, writes this. He says, because children have an abounding vitality, and because they are in so spirit fierce and free, they want things repeated and unchanged. They always say, do it again, and the grown-up person does it again until he or she is nearly exhausted. For grown-up people are not strong enough to exult or to have joy in monotony in the same things. But, he says, perhaps God is strong enough to exult in the monotony. It is possible that God says every morning, do it again to the sun, and every evening, do it again to the moon. It may not necessarily be that all daisies are made alike out of necessity. It may be that God makes every daisy separately, but has never gotten tired of making them. It may be that he has the eternal appetite of infancy. For we, G.K. Chesterton says, have sinned and grown old, and our Father is younger than we. So may you find some really fun things to do today, things that bring you joy, things that are just simple and everyday. and may you find some joy today.